So there's a scripture in the Bible that says something to the effect that all things work together for good. Wow. All things work together for good for those who love God and are called according to His purpose. Very interesting. We are coming to a close of this series where we've been discussing the idea that nothing you do outside of purpose is useless. And that being the case, what kind of mentality, what kind of thinking, what should we do with that information? What should we do with that knowledge? There are two things. Either you can sit back and wait for your purpose to show up, or you can do whatever is available today as you gravitate towards your purpose. And I see very many people sometimes feeling like they shouldn't do anything that is outside of their purpose. And I'm going to give you some of my stories even as we conclude this. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
So perhaps this simple, silly story of mine would help you to understand that nothing you do outside of purpose is useless, and also will help you to understand that you should not be fixated and single-minded. I know maybe single-minded is not the correct word to use, but you should not be narrow-minded. You should not be narrow-minded as far as options in life are concerned. I love the word options. Life is always going to give us different types of opportunities, different types of options, and they are in two major categories. There are those options that will fall smack in the middle of our purpose, and those ones will not be in our purpose. And then there's an idea of time. The timing when the opportunity comes. Does it help you to take that purpose, or to take that opportunity, to take that job, or take that assignment? Or does it allow you some leeway, some freedom? Maybe you have some time to sit back and wait for the ideal thing to come. I saw in the papers the other day a Kenyan graduate from IT, an IT Kenyan graduate, saying that if he's given an opportunity to work, the salary must be above 40,000 Kenya shillings, which is, I think, just slightly above $1,000 a month. It should be above that. That's what he was insisting, and probably he does have a point. 40,000, is it $1,000? I don't know. And probably he has a point. But at the back of my mind, I was thinking, yes, he knows his value. Yes, he knows his worth. But is he wise in being fixated and maybe being narrow-minded and saying that he cannot do anything less than that? Is he, especially in the economies that we are living in this day and in this age where such like opportunities are not necessarily there? Is he being wise? I don't know. It's, life will, at the end of the day, bail him out or teach him a lesson, depending. So we're discussing in these episodes, even as we're coming to a close, that nothing you do outside of your purpose is useless. that man for the IT job, he could go and do something that is maybe going to pay him 30,000 Kenya shillings at the end of the month, or maybe even 25,000 to begin with, and maybe it's in doing that he can grow and even multiply and become much more worthy than the 40,000 that he's looking for. But let me not dwell on that. My story is this: I was working. I was teaching people how to double click with the mouse, how to use Windows 98, how to use Windows 2000 some years back, some decades back. And so even as I was doing that, the money that I used to get out of that place was just so minute, so meager. And my father was concerned. So what my father did was to ask me to give him my curriculum vitae, my resume, so he can give it to some of his cronies, some of his friends, so that they can, see where they can be able to place me in their organizations. But at that moment in time, I was so narrow-minded, highly super spiritual, thinking that if I need a job and God is going to give me a miraculous job, I don't need to help God by creating my CV, can you believe it? And creating my resume and giving it to my father. I don't want, to cut corners. I want it to be a pure miracle, a good miracle where no one is involved, it's just God. What kind of thinking was I using anyway? But that was me some years back. And like I said a few moments earlier, either life teaches you or life vindicates you with the kind of thinking that you are using. But life taught me a lesson that people are important. We saw in the previous series that people are important in the pursuit of purpose. People are actually very important, and people are strategically placed so that they can be either stepping stones, or people can be the ones that open doors for us, or whatever it is. But people are important. Long story short, I should have done what my father asked me. You never know. I should have done that. And in the same token, in the same kind of thinking, you have people who are refusing opportunities that are coming to them because they are not necessarily their purpose. They are thinking, no, I cannot go and teach that secondary school. I'd rather stay here in the village. I am a graduate. I have a master's. Why should I go and teach that secondary school? I'm supposed to be in the corporate world. I'm supposed to be dressing in a suit and driving a car. In the corporate world, I'm supposed to be doing marketing for them. So they pass on that opportunity because it is not in their purpose, or it's not in their preference, which is something that, like I've said, I cannot say it's wrong, neither can I say it's right, but I can only say that life is going to either vindicate us or teach us a lesson, depending on whatever choice that we've made. But I'm saying at the end of the day that nothing you do, you should learn that nothing you do outside of purpose, especially if you know what your purpose is, nothing you do outside of purpose is useless. And we've said that you need to know these 4 things initially. Number 1, know what your purpose is. At least get to know what it is. Even if it is not something that you're engaged in at the moment, get to know what it is. If you don't know what your purpose is, I can help you. Go to lifesignatures.life. There is a course there. It's $129, and it's actually peanuts according to the feedback that I've gotten from my students, that I should have charged them more. It's $129. You can get in there, lifesignatures.life. Click on the link, pay for it, and let me take you through so you can know what your purpose is. Number 2, keep doing what you're doing even if your purpose has not come to fruition. Number 3, know that it is okay to detour momentarily. Actually, it is fine to do something that is totally outside. If you are the guy I've just been talking about, you have a master's in whatever, and you are at home in the village, and the only opportunity that is available is for you to teach the local school, the local village secondary school. What do? Go and teach. Go and teach. It is okay to actually do it. But today, in fact, yesterday we said that you should give your best to it. Even if you hate it, give your absolute best. Switch your mind on and give your absolute best. Leave a fragrance behind that you are there. Leave a signature behind. But today I want us to address the idea. I want us to address the idea of feeling guilty that you're doing something that is outside of your purpose. Because this guilt, even as some people might not want to do what's outside of their purpose because they'll feel guilty, and some people are having absolutely no other option but to do it, and in the process they're feeling guilty. So I want us to address that. Stifle that guilt, because like I've told you all these episodes, nothing outside of purpose is useless. As long as there's an activity that you're doing that is productive, one or another, you need to realize one thing, that probably whatever you are engaged in, for example, if you go and you teach that secondary school, you are helping someone else's purpose. And as you're helping someone else's purpose, you're making this world a better place. And secondly, you need to realize that it is possible for you to inject purpose in what you're doing, even if it's outside of your purpose. How? By being excellent in what you're doing, by pouring yourself out to it, and so on and so forth. But don't feel guilty. You find yourself cleaning toilets? So whistle as you do it. Be happy as you do it. Be joyous as you do it. Because at the back of your mind, you know, this is not it. This is a temporary thing to do. This is like an adventure. By the way, do you know, sometimes we go for adventures and we pass through mud. I remember there's a time I went for a men's retreat, and there were soldiers who were taking us through, some rigorous trainings and so on. And in one particular instance, we were to run through water with our shoes, running through water and so on and so forth. And in a normal environment, you wouldn't take yourself through it. But it's an adventure. So now that it's an adventure, you are excited about it. You're like, it's temporary. I'm going to enjoy this, or I'm going to suffer for a few minutes and it's going to be over. That's the same mentality that you should have when you're doing something that's outside of your purpose. I approach it with the mentality that this is an adventure, this is not my destiny, therefore I'm going to have as much fun as possible in this. I'm going to give it my all. They can count on me on this one, and I'm going to feel guilty. I'm not going to feel guilty that I'm wasting my parents' money. They paid for me to go to university, and I have a degree, and I have a diploma, and I have the certificate, I have whatever it is that I have, and now I'm just doing this. Yes, at the back of your mind you should know that this is not it, but neither should you feel guilty, especially if you've tried and that's the only thing that is available to you at that moment in time. Do not ever think it is sinful to do something outside of your purpose, especially if you are not rebelling against it, especially if you've done everything possible to locate your purpose and it's not working, and the only option available is now what is on the table. Don't ever think it's sinful. It is part and parcel of life. It is in the process. Remember, life is not linear. It's not, life in fact abhors a straight line. It's not linear. Point A, point B is there. The only thing that you need to be aware of is that you must gravitate back to your path of purpose, even as you're doing what you're doing today. At the slightest opportunity, gravitate back to your path of purpose, and that is where the greatest fulfillment you'll ever needed in life is going to come from. The worst thing, though, is taking a tangent outside of your purpose and stay there. Keep going there. You just keep doing the tangent. Detouring away from your purpose, and you're not even thinking of going back. The saddest thing is never living to accomplish your God-given purpose. It is sad to you more than you could ever imagine. It is sad to the world more than they could ever realize, and it is sad to God more than you could ever know, because purpose is what you were created to do in the first place. So don't feel guilty. Don't feel down, downcast in your heart, downcast in your spirit because you're doing something outside of your purpose. Realize an adventure. Realize it's temporary. Smile. Give your all. Give your best. Have a good mental. Straighten up. Look up. Let not what you're doing be your identity. Let it not define you, because at the end of the day, it really doesn't. It shouldn't, unless you let it. So we've come to a close of this episode. We've been talking about whatever you do outside of purpose is not necessarily useless. So tomorrow we're going to begin another kind of thinking, another kind of thought pattern. We'll see what it is going to be like. Until then, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.